Hey everybody, welcome to Mammoth Interactive's YouTube channel. First of all, I want to thank you for watching this video. And remember that this channel doesn't do Patreon. Instead, we sell our digital courses down below. And every single dollar that we get from the products you buy below goes into making more content. The best way to help out this channel and Mammoth Interactive is to subscribe to Mammoth Interactive's huge library of content. Get thousands of hours and hundreds of courses for a low price down below. We have a monthly option and a yearly option. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the video.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Metahuman course. In this lecture, we are getting started with Metahuman. First, you have to click on the link that Epic Games will email you when you get your 1-hour permission for early access Metahuman. Then you can accept their terms, and you'll be taken to the license agreement, which you can also read through, and then hit accept. Then you'll be connected to the Metahuman creator. The session is setting up right now, so do not refresh the page or you'll lose the session. And here we go. We have the Metahuman starting page. This Metahuman uses grooms currently in development, only displayed at LODs 0 and 1, the highest resolution, highest level of detail. Here, you have your option to create a Metahuman. You also have your saved Metahumans once you've created them. So here in Create Metahuman, you can choose a starting point for your character. So you can choose one of these starting characters and then you can start to edit them. All right, so here you can choose through this huge list of different people. Feel free to click on one of these and get a preview of it. And then you can change a whole range of things like the facial structure, eye color, structure of individual parts of the body, and as well the hair structure, hair color, and also the clothing and the body type. More on that coming up. So here is the list of humans as of this moment. Now more humans will be added with time. You can either create yourself or create a set of characters to use in your games or in your product. Perhaps you're doing a tutorial series and you need an instructor that is an actual person. Or perhaps you are building a game and you need a range of game characters. Or you just need a talking head. For all of that, you can use Metahuman characters. Once you have chosen your starting point, then hit next, and this will take you to the editor. Okay, so here we have our Metahuman, and now we can use these different properties to edit the Metahuman. So at the top left here, we have the face, hair, and body sections. We can also change the name of our character in the top left, or you can zoom in and out by just scrolling your mouse wheel or scrolling up and down on your trackpad. Then you have your studio tools, and at the bottom here you have more tools to choose from, and you have a hotkey reference on the right hand side. Okay, so feel free to zoom in or out at any point. You can also rotate by clicking, holding, and dragging with your mouse, and you can zoom in and out. Your character by default is moving, but you can also freeze them or stop the movement as well, which will freeze your character. You can do that because currently we're in preview mode. There's also blend mode, which allows you to blend your character with other characters. There is move mode, which allows you to move and rearrange groups of features. And there's sculpt mode for the highest fine-tuning of features. Then, of course, there's preview mode where you can hit play to have your character move around. In the top here of your view, you have several options. First, you can choose your background color. So typically, it's nice to choose a complementary background color to your character. So feel free to do that. Other than the background color, you also have your environment type. There is studio, indoor, outdoor, and silhouette. Studio is the highest quality lighting. Indoor provides this indoor setting. All right, so here you can zoom out to see the setting. You can also rotate around this house All right, then you can zoom back in and you can rotate to look at your character from all angles. Just hold down 2 fingers on your trackpad and then hold and move your mouse around. If you don't have a trackpad, just use your right mouse button and then scroll. All right, so here we go. Let's zoom back in and let's check out this outdoor environment. So the lighting changes on your character and you can zoom out to see the environment. Then we have silhouette. Here you can rotate around to see the facial structure and also the body structure of your metahuman here. All right, so again, feel free to zoom back in and rotate around. Okay, let's go back into studio lighting because that is the highest quality lighting. All right, and let's zoom back in. Then next we have the camera switching. So you have auto camera switching, you have face, then you have body to focus on the body, you have torso to focus in on the torso, legs to focus in on the legs, feet to focus on the feet, and then far to view your metahuman at a distance. Let's start at face. The majority of the detail of the metahuman is in creating the face. Then we have render quality. The default is medium. You can also do high quality. This will take up more processing, and epic as well. Medium is all that we need. You then have level of detail. All right, the default is LOD 0, the highest level of detail. LOD is an initialism for level of detail. You can switch to level of detail 7 for the lowest level of detail. This is typically the level of detail used in games. And then you can slowly increase the level of detail and you'll see that the resolution will become higher and higher. Okay, here we go. Let's keep increasing back. Typically you want to stick with 0 if you want extremely high quality, realistic looking humans. You can also use auto if you'd like. You can select to always use hair cards, which will force card-based grooms instead of grand-based grooms. All right, so if I turn on the hair cards, turn off the hair cards. If I use the hair cards, then the hair is going to be lower quality. And that's because rendering hair is quite expensive in terms of processing power. Next, we can toggle clay material to view our metahuman as though it were made out of clay, or toggle it back off. You can hide hair or show hair using that next tool right beside the clay material. Again, because hair is quite expensive to render, so you can hide it to save processing power. You can also hide the hotkey references if you don't want to show them in your scene. And that is how you can build a new metahuman project. Join me in our next lecture. We're going to continue working on this project, and we're going to learn how we can blend different features of this human with features of other humans. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our course. In the previous lecture, we learned how to build a new metahuman project. In this lecture, we're going to learn how we can blend our current metahuman with other metahumans. So we can actually take different features of this metahuman and blend them together with others as though they were a child of the other. And we can blend different structures and points. Like we can just blend the nose or just blend the lips. So let's learn how to do that in this lecture. Okay, next, we also have our tools here on the left-hand side: face, hair, and body. So let's go ahead and start with face. Under face, we have blend. This will allow us to blend our character with other characters. In order for this to enable, we have to stop the animation. So let me just hit stop. This stop button is the square in the bottom center of your scene. The metahuman will also stop moving. And now we can blend our character with other characters. To enable blend mode, we have to drag 3 of the presets below into the slots above. So these presets are other characters that we can choose from. All right, so we can take any of these characters and blend them with another. All right, so let's just choose a few and slot them right in there. And then we'll be able to blend certain characteristics. And you can even add in more if you want to do more than 3. And if you want to do just 2, you have to do at least 3. So take note of that. Okay, so here we have our original character Vivian, and we're going to enable blending with Malika and Miles and Maria. Okay, so now we can use the blend tools here in our studio. So if I click and I drag around my mouse and hold my mouse, so I click and hold and drag, then I'm affecting my facial features with one of the other characters, depending on if I drag down, if I drag up, or if I drag to the bottom right. So depending on which way you're dragging, you can blend with one of the characters of the 3. You can also blend down to have a mixture of 2 of the characters. And you can do that for any shape. So for example, if you wanted the nose to be more like Miles's nose, then what you can do is click, hold, and drag up, and the nose of our original character, Vivian, is going to get blended with Miles's nose, okay? And if you click again, then you can drag it back down to its original, and you can blend with another character, like we had here, Malika, and you can drag it back. Then you can click and drag to blend with Maria, or you can drag it back. You can also have a combination of 3, so you drag your mouse down in between Malika and Maria, and that will create a blending of your original character Vivian with Malika and Maria's nose. Okay, and you can do that for any of these groups. So here we're focused on the face. Body type is a separate thing. So here we can do any aspect here of this face. We can change the different properties. The lips, we can blend up, we can blend to the bottom left, we can blend to the bottom right. Or we can blend to a combination of 2. If we want to combine our original character Vivian's lips with 2 of the other characters. Same thing with the chin here. Let's just zoom out a little bit. We can also blend the chin with our 3 other characters. We could also add more characters or do a combination of 2. So already the facial structure of our character has changed. Okay, so here we go. We can change our cheeks here. The change will get reflected across the other side. All right, here we go. But the original structure, when the metahuman is originally created, each one is asymmetrical for extra realism. So that's why you have these 2 different sides, because you're making a change to one side and it will be reflected on the other side, but it will look slightly different because the original starting point for the 2 halves was different. Okay, so feel free to change up each of these little points. It's quite nuanced, even though we're in blend mode, which means we are blending a group of features. Okay, let's see what else. We also have back here. We can blend the back. Feel free to rotate around and also see the side profile. So you can blend this lower point as well. And you can do that on the other side too. The goal of Metahuman is not to recreate yourself perfectly. As the company itself states, the goal is to create metahumans, so realistic looking humans, but not necessarily to recreate a real person. But you can get to a very close depiction of a real person. You can also change the eye shape here to better match another character and blend with them, or do a combination of 2. And again, you can do it for each of the different sides because each eye started off slightly differently. The changes will get reflected on the other eye. But in the end, they look slightly different because they started off at 2 different points. Now that we know how to use the blend tool, join me in our next lecture where we're going to learn how to move and sculpt different facial features of this metahuman. Hello everyone and welcome back to our course. In the previous lecture, we learned how to blend different features of a human with another. In this lecture, we're going to learn about the tools right beside the blend tool. Those are the move and the sculpt tools. These will allow us to move groups of facial features around and resize them, reshape them, and also to sculpt different facial features with extreme detail. So we can actually move around and change the shape of different points of the face, including the nose, the eyes, the chin, and more. So let's get started on that. Okay, so now our character looks slightly different from how it did in the beginning. So you can have quite a lot of nuance as to how you want to affect your character. You also have move here, where you can move individual points. Okay, so this time we're not blending anymore. We can close the blend. We're using the move tool, and feel free to undo if you want to bring it back to what it was before. But basically, we have blend here to blend with other characters. Then we have move to move around different groups. And we have sculpt for the highest nuance of change. Move will move a group of your objects. For example, to move one of the eyes, and the change will get reflected across the other side. Here, I'm clicking, holding, and moving around my mouse. And this is going to affect the eye as a group, which is why it's called the move tool. Okay, so I can do the same for the lips. I can move the lips as a group. This is different from sculpt, which can move extremely fine points. So sculpt is the highest level of detail. With move, we can change different groups, the eyes, the nose, the lips, the chin as well, and the ears. Okay, so you can rotate around. You can remove the hair if you want to better see the ears in this case. All right, so let me just zoom out here, and I'm going to remove the hair so we can see the ears. So the ears we can move forward, back, make them bigger, smaller, change the shape as well. And currently I'm in the move tool, so if I click and hold the move tool, you see these 4 points appear. That's because we're moving the ear as a group. All right, and later on there will be support likely for characters that are not even humans, like elves and orcs, but right now there are only human characters available. Okay, then next we have the sculpt tool. So this is where you can have the highest degree of accuracy. I'm going to bring back the hair. All right, so you can change individual points, such as here the cheeks. So I could definitely see this being used for practicing plastic surgery or designing your ideal face shape. Then you can change the eyes, every point of the eye as well. So this time, notice, instead of moving as a group, we are moving the eyes, each individual point. Now, the group will still move because you can't just change one point. For realism, the whole group will still move, but the group will move with a lot more nuance. Okay, you can also change here your height of the nose, that nose bridge, different parts of the eyebrow as well, the forehead, change the elevation, and change the size of the forehead. You can move around the cheeks here and move around the lips as well. All of these finer points. So definitely play around with this. The more practice that you get, the more you'll be able to create exactly the kind of character that you're looking for. All right, again, you can change each point of the ear. We'll remove the hair to better see the ears. So this time, instead of moving the ear as a group, you can see we're moving 4 different points of the ear. You can also change the scalp shape. All right, so there you go. At different points here, you can change the scalp. And the forehead again. Bring back the hair, rotate around, and there's our character now. And that is how you can move and sculpt different facial features of your metahuman. Join me coming up in our next lecture where we'll learn how to change features of the skin of our metahuman, including the skin tone, skin wrinkles, and much more. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our course. In the previous lecture, we learned how to move and sculpt different facial features of our metahuman. In this lecture, we're going to learn how to change skin features of the metahuman. So let's get started. All right, let's go back into our face section. Next up, under blend, we had blend. We already looked at how to blend. Let's look at skin. Okay, so there's a lot that you can edit with the skin. First, you have the skin color that you can change around from different varying points. Be aware of the different lighting as well. Okay, so here you go. You can move around this scale just with this color picker. You can also use the U and V values as well. U is the x-axis, V is the y-axis, so you can have a nuanced coordinate here. All right, so now you can zoom out, zoom in, there you go. You can also change the texture of the skin. Okay, so I'm going to just drag a little bit and already the texture has changed a lot. So texture is very nuanced. Let me just zoom in here on my character. Okay, and I'm going to change the texture. If you go to the left, you can change the redness, you can change the stiffness, the sharpness, and the smoothness of the skin. Okay, so let's just focus on the face. I'm going to camera face. And then let's keep dragging the texture. So this can change also facial hair and structure. Keep dragging that slider to see different options. It's very nuanced here. You can also click on this arrow key as well. Just click on the arrow tool right beside the number to see every possible texture. Notice that the coloring also changes with texture. So here we have a bruised look. Keep going, and you can also see the shadows change. Freckles appear as well. Let's keep going, zooming in here on the texture. All right, you can also add fine lines and wrinkles as you keep adding the texture to age a character. Let's keep going. We can just use the slider, click and drag. There we go. I'm dragging over, and I can see as I drag over my texture value, I am aging the character. Feel free to move the character again, because now that we're out of blend mode, we can have our character move and they appear as though they're checking themselves out. All right, so feel free to stop that then to change values again. Let's keep going with texture. So texture is quite different. Just because you're increasing it doesn't mean that your wrinkles are going to go up. There is quite a nuanced texture slider here. You can have sunspots, blemish spots. So feel free to drag around this texture value. All right, let's keep going. Here we can get to an aged look with more wrinkles. Continue until the end, we reach at 1. So texture, you can go from 0 to 1. Minimal texture on the skin, maximal texture on the skin. Then we have contrast. All right, this will change the contrast of the skin color. So let's go all the way down to 0, and then let's go all the way up to 1. So you have more redness as you go to 1. You have more tan as you go to 0. Then you have roughness. So I can drag that roughness slider value to change the oiliness of the skin. All right, so here is 0 roughness, very oily. You can see these oil spots here. And then if you increase the roughness, less oily. All right, so there we go. Next, beside skin, we also have freckles. All right, so you can click on here and change the freckles on the face. So you have density. Here is 0 density. Here is 1 density, meaning dense freckles. Then you also have strength. Here is 0 strength. Here is 1 strength. So that is the color depth of the freckles. Then you have saturation. Here is 0 saturation, and here is 1 saturation. That just increases the color pop of the freckles. And then we have tone shift. Here is 0 tone shift all the way to 1 tone shift. That just can affect different faces differently. It will change the tone of the face. You also have the amount of freckles, 0, 1, and 2, or 1, 2, and 3. So here you have 1, 2, and 3. That changes the size of each freckle. Okay, so larger size, more aged look, bigger sunspots. All right, then next, beside freckles, we have accents. Okay, so here you can change redness, saturation, and lightness. You can reset everything to 0. Redness, you can give a blush look. So if you have 0 or -1 redness in this case, you have the zombie look where you almost have almost a corpse-like body. As you increase the redness, you're bringing life back into the character. A lot of redness means a lot of blood flow. So if the character was blushing, you could add that, or if they had a sunburn. Then you have saturation. All right, here is -1 saturation. Again, you have more of the corpse look. So you could create a zombie character here. Then at 1 saturation, you have the orange look here. All right, then go back to 0 for average saturation. You also have lightness. So at -1 lightness, you have shadows, dark spots. At 1 lightness, you have extremely light skin here. All right, so there we go. Our character is definitely looking a little bit different now with some of our changes to the face shape. Feel free to hit play to check out the character moving around. Okay, you can also zoom out to see this in preview. You can also change the animation type. Just beside the animation, you have idle. You have face ROM, where it's going to do different facial aspects. It's going to yawn. It's going to move its face around, just to show you how the shape of the face looks when it's doing different things. Okay, so there we go. We have that face animation right now, different from idle because it's now, the character is now doing specifically different actions to show you how it would look animated. Then you have body technical ROM. All right, so that is going to have our character do different things with their body. So let's switch to body view. So now they're showing you how the structure looks, how the animation would look if the character were to move around in different poses. All right, so there we go. You can see our character moving around. We can also change body type later. Okay, let's go back to idle. Look at how they snap back up, and let's go to face. And that is how you can change different features of your metahuman's skin. Join me coming up in our next lecture. We're going to learn how to change different features of the eye. Everything from eye color to eye shape to the iris shape, the amount of veins, and more. There's quite a lot of detail that went into creating the eyes, which I'm very impressed with on Metahuman's behalf, because creating the eye is hard to do in CGI. And often if the eye looks weird, then the character looks realistic. So eyes are really important, and Metahuman does not let us down. So join me in our next lecture where we'll learn how to change the eyes. Hello everyone, and welcome back to our course. In the previous lecture, we learned how to change the skin features of our Metahuman. In this lecture, we're going to learn how to change eye features of the Metahuman. Getting the eyes to look good is quite important to making realistic characters, and Metahuman does not let us down. There's quite a lot that we can do with the eyes in Metahuman, and the eyes are very realistic. So let's get started. We've done skin, let's go on to eyes next. Okay, here you have different presets for the eyes. For example, you can change eye color with these default values. You have brown at the top, dark brown, medium brown, light brown. Right, there you go. You can zoom in as well to see it. And feel free to rotate down to really zoom in on them. You then have blue eyes. All right, here you have different shades of blue with the gray included as well. Then you have green, different shades of green, darker and lighter green eyes. And finally, you have a combination. So this blue-brown, you have hazel, then you have gray, almost white eyes. All right, there we go. So those are our eyes there. You also have, other than the presets, you can choose different iris structures. So the level of detail is quite amazing that they went into. Let me just zoom out here a little bit and go down. Okay, so here, we can change either both eyes at the same time, or we can change one eye at a time. We can change the base color here, for example, to this brown base. Then you can change the detail color. All right, so for example, to this light brown. And I'm going to just zoom in here, take a look at it. Okay, there we go. So there's quite a high level of detail you can get with the eyes, which is quite impressive because a lot of CGI realism often comes down to the eye. If the eyes don't look good, then the CG, the animated character, often the eyes is what gives away the character. So I'm very impressed by the level of detail they've been able to do with the eyes here. We also have blend mode, radial, or structure to blend these two colors together, base versus detail. All right, let's zoom back in on them. You can also change the color balance. So here is 1 color balance versus 0. I'll stop them so they don't move so much. That is going to be here 0 versus 1. So it's similar to saturation, the amount of color. Then we have smoothness. We have 0 color smoothness and 1 color smoothness to blend them together. We also have iris size. So you can have small irises or you can have larger irises, almost as though they were wearing contacts. Then you also have iris saturation. You can go down or go up to have a large amount of color, again, almost like contacts. Or if you're doing some kind of alien world, you could have this saturated iris color. Then you have limbus. Okay, you can have 0 darkness, 1 darkness to have that darkness in the eye. You also have the eye shape itself here of the iris. So you can zoom in and you can see these different blendings of the iris. Okay, so I'm as zoomed in as possible here. I can show you, you can see with small detail how the iris changes. So the amount of detail is very impressive here. And the amount of features here are only going to keep expanding. You also have the sclera. Again, you can change one eye or both. You have the tint here for the sclera. All right, so here's one, here's another, and that's affecting the actual white part of your eye. You have brightness, so here is no brightness. Oh, and I'm just doing the one eye. Let me just do both. Okay, again, you have sclera. Okay, so if you have top left, bottom right, so you can change the color of that whiteness of your eyes. You can change brightness from dark to light. So here we have extremely dark eyes. Okay, and then you have white of the white. All right, then you have sclera rotation. So you can rotate this around. Let me show you. Let's go back to a straight looking view and then change that sclera rotation. Then you have vascularity. All right, so you can zoom in and see more veins in that eye for some bloodshot eyes. You could definitely see that being used for some characters in games. All right, and you have veins rotation. So if you show all the veins, you can then rotate them around. There you go, you can see the rotation. So you can just have a different effect for the veins. All right, let's go back to our face mode. Let's do auto and play again. And that is how you can change eye features of your metahumans. Join me coming up in our next lecture. We're going to learn how to change features of the teeth. All right, after eyes, we have teeth. Okay, so let's click on teeth. Here you can change quite a lot with the teeth. You have to stop the animation to enable the teeth because it's going to pop open the teeth like that. Okay, so you can change quite a lot of the different properties of teeth. Narrowness, worn down, receding gums, the polycanine, the tooth spacing, then you have the lower shift, the tooth length, upper shift, and the overbite, and the overjet. All right, so feel free to drag around any of these. For example, narrowness here. That will change the narrowness of the jaw. You have worn down. If you increase that value, the teeth are very worn down, a lot of grinding. Otherwise, you can have less worn down. So you just drag either left or right or up and down. Receding gums, you can have up and down again. And polycanine, you can change the shape of those polycanines. Tooth spacing, you can have the teeth very close together, crowded, or wide apart. Then you have tooth length. You can have longer teeth or shorter teeth. You have upper shift, shifting that top side of the teeth. Typically, you do want to have some disfigurement in the teeth for realism, because if the teeth are perfect, it's less realistic. You have lower shift. You can shift that bottom jaw. You have overbite, 0 overbite versus a large overbite. Then you have this overjet. Right, here you go. That changes the rotation of the teeth. You can also set each of those with hard-coded values here. Just set one of these like tooth length and then change that sliding scale. You also have variation. Okay, so you don't have to necessarily have each tooth have the same length. You can have 0 variation for all the teeth are the same length, or have 1 variation, which means 100% variation, to have all of the teeth be differing lengths. And you can also have that variation be for all the different properties. So you could have tooth spacing, have variation as well. Let me just zoom back in here on our teeth. Okay, so here you can have a lot of tooth spacing variation. All right, and same with each of these other values. You can change the variation to have each tooth have a slightly different value. You also have tooth color. You can choose more of a white hue versus more of a dark teeth color, or even green. All right, or more of a natural yellowish hue. Then you have gum color. Okay, so you can have these dead looking gums versus pink versus a deep dark red versus the brown. And you have plaque color, so you can have little plaque that's white, or you can have this dark yellow plaque. And if you zoom in here on the teeth, you can see, let's just move around here. Zoom in on the teeth there. There you go, moving down. And then going to scroll in. Okay, there you go. Now you can see this plaque amount as well. Okay, well, let's start. We're at plaque color, right? Okay, so we have 1 light colors for plaque and also yellow for plaque. You can also have plaque amount. So no plaque versus a lot of plaque. Okay, and then you have the jaw open. So this will just open up that jaw for you if you want to see inside the teeth as well. So now you can change values and see how it affects from the inside. All right, so here you can change worn down, and we can see inside of the mouth how that looks. And you can also reset all as well. And that is how you can change different features of the teeth and the gums in Metahuman. Coming up next, we're going to learn how we can apply makeup to our metahumans. After teeth, we have makeup, where you can apply makeup to your character. So let's go back to auto here and go into the face. First, we have eyes, then we have lips currently. So you can choose different liners on the eyes. We have thin liner, soft smoky eye, full thin liner. We have cat eye, so this is all affecting the face here. We have panda smudge. Adding makeup to this character, we have dramatic smudge, double mod, and classic bar. All right, then we have color. We can change the color of what we've applied. For example, give this pink, or apply an orange to our character here. Let's just choose an orange color. There you go. You can also change roughness, go from no roughness to a lot more roughness. So that's just the amount of makeup that you're putting on. You also have transparency, and that is, again, similar along lines of roughness, but the amount specifically. Roughness is going to be whether you have here 0 or 1. Then you have metalness as well. So that gives this shining sheen effect. Next, we have lips. You can change here the lip gloss. So you have natural, so nothing applied. Then you have Hollywood. All right, so you have some applied, and you have Cupid. So applying different variations of lip gloss. Let's just zoom in here, and also lipstick. So let's start with natural. You can have roughness here be 0 or 1. All right, so that gives a sheen effect versus a matte effect. You have transparency. That is the amount of lip gloss applied, and you have color. So you could apply, for example, orange again. So let me choose an orange color. There you go. And if I change transparency here, the more transparent, the less of the lip gloss is being applied. The roughness here, you can also see there's more of a matte effect if you have high roughness. Okay, so let me go back into auto. There we go. So now we have makeup applied to the character. We can change to Hollywood lips. Let's just go down here. Can change roughness again along the same lines, transparency. All right, so if you click on one of these values, you can then go to Cupid. So let's try Cupid. We have low roughness versus high roughness. And transparency again, we can have high versus low transparency. And color. So different styles for the lips. Next, after the face, we then have our hair. All right, so feel free to see at any point the duration of time that you've been using, because you only get an hour for early access, and the processing power. All right, and as well, just click on this bar icon to see that. Keep track of your time, and take note that the more detail you add, the higher the file will be of the Metahuman. And that is how you can apply makeup to your Metahumans. Join me coming up. Next, we're going to learn how to change the hair and the facial hair of our Metahuman.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching this course. If you want to watch the rest of the course, the link is down below. Not only will you get the access to this course, but you'll get access to a lot of other courses in a huge bundle, and it's on sale today. So buy before the sale ends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.